All right, guys, we're wrapping up the assembly of our gun. Everything went well so far. We did put a small amount of grease on the nose of our mixing chamber. We're now going to put these last two pieces on. When you look at this cap, it has a chamfer in here, or it's concave, however you want to see it. This little piece of nylon has the inverse of that. What this does is it limits the over travel of this, and it creates kind of some shock absorption, if you will. So what we're going to do, there again, a little bit of grease, making sure that this rounded shape is facing out. And these fit kind of snug and they're easy to lose. We're going to set that on there. We're going to set that right in there. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a bunch of grease on here before we thread this cap in. This is one you really want to make sure you got tons of grease on, because it will become extremely difficult to remove if you don't. So what I'm doing is I'm just packing the threads with the fusion grease. That's about the amount of grease that you want to have in there. Then we're going to put some grease around the threads. I'm sure some of the terminology is different than what I used in the video, but it gets the point across. So we got plenty of grease on there. There again, this doesn't have any flats on it. This has a knurl. Anytime you see something with a knurl on it, that means you don't make it that tight. This should be able to be installed with your fingers, and it should be able to be removed with your fingers. So right there, that seated that bushing down in there. That's all the tighter you need to make it. Sometimes you need pliers to get it back off after it's been in use. It still doesn't take much to loosen it with pliers because of the grease that you've applied to it during assembly. So the gun's completely assembled. We check and we make sure that our valves are off. When I clean the gun, the valves are wide open. That way the fluid, everything is completely flushed. But when you're done, you do want to make sure that these valves are closed so you don't get some kind of weird surprise when you do finally put chemical back into the gun. You're now ready to install your extension whip. If you guys don't use an extension whip, you can now put this back on your foam hose, whatever setup you guys use. We do use an adapter block, which allows us to go back and forth between a GX7 foam gun and the Gap gun without having to break the hose open. And that's about it.